Welcome to the Biblical Mama podcast, where faith and motherhood meet. I'm your host, Shelly Garcia. Each week, we dive into the beautiful chaos of being a mother and a woman of God, exploring what it truly means to live out our faith with every fiber of our being. From inspirational stories and practical advice to heartfelt conversations and spiritual insights, we're here to uplift and empower you as you navigate your sacred calling. So grab a cup of coffee, find a comfy spot, and join me as we embark on this journey together. Let's discover how to embrace our roles as mothers and daughters of the Most High, and learn how to follow God's path with grace, strength, and unwavering devotion. Welcome to the Biblical Mama podcast, where faith and motherhood meet. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Biblical Mama podcast. My name is Shelly. Today, I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction as to what Biblical Mama is and the story of how it came to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. We'll dig in. Okay, so first of all, Biblical Mama is a multifaceted endeavor with three core parts designed to uplift and inspire women of faith, families, and individuals seeking a deeper connection with God. So the three parts of that is going to be the Biblical Mama podcast and Biblical Mama designs, and also Biblical Mama studies. So since this is the first episode, let me give you a formal introduction of myself and basically who I am, what I like to do, and then we'll get into the whole story of how this podcast came to be. So, once again, I'm Shelly. I'm 33 years old. I have an amazing husband, Adam, and two kids. I've got a 4-year-old son, Taven, and a 2-year-old daughter, Balana. My husband and I met a long time ago. We both worked at Lowe's, the home improvement store. So we got married, and we had some us time, and then after a few years we started trying to have kids. After 2 years not being able to get pregnant, we went to see a fertility doctor and kind of find out I had PCOS, which completely makes sense with my medical history and everything. Anyway, as soon as we started seeing the fertility doctor, and we were about to do the first test to see, what was going on with me besides the PCOS. As soon as we started that, I ended up pregnant, and we had our baby boy, Taven, in 2020, literally right before the pandemic came to the U.S. We watched that plane land on TV while we were in the hospital with our newborn baby. Then, about 2 years later, no, it was 2 years later, 2 years and a month later, we had our baby girl, Balana, which it was a very, very rough start to her life. She was non-responsive when she was born, and it took them a while to resuscitate her. It was a very, very emotional experience. And it was after a 32-hour labor. Anyway, she had HIE, which is hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, which is a brain injury where the oxygen or the blood flow to the brain is reduced or stopped. So somehow that happened. No idea how. But she had to be on a cooling blanket for 72 hours, and we were not allowed to hold her for that full 72 hours. So she spent 14 days in the NICU, and we finally were able to bring her home, and on April 1st of all days. Anyway, since then, she has had a rough life. She was delayed of course, developmentally, and she's had occupational therapist, speech therapist, life skills therapist. She's still seeing a nutritionist right now because 1 month old, she had an allergic reaction to her first time having formula because I wasn't producing enough milk. Anyway, so we found out she was allergic to cow's milk. And then eventually we found out she had so many other food allergies. So she's had a very, very rough start to life. But she is finally gaining some weight. We figured out some of the problems with her health, but she is totally thriving now developmentally. So thankful to all her therapists. But anyway, her and her brother, they are so smart, and we love their personalities and how funny they are. Anyway, so that being said, that's kind of a little background on me and my family. A few things about me. I play the piano. I have since I was 9 years old. I love it. I just hardly have time anymore having 2 little kids. So, also I love to read, but again, I don't have much time anymore to do that. So I also love to bake. I just love it. It's fun. And I love being able to, like, I don't know, it just kind of, it's mindless, you know? And so it helps whenever I'm feeling anxious or, you know, whatever. Anyway, so little backstory I started working at a car dealership back in 2015. Anyway, I worked there for a very long time, 7 years, until right before my daughter was born. And it was a pretty large car dealership, and I interacted with so many people every day, all day. I was always on the phone, you know, always talking to, you know, everyone in the office or in the accounting office. I was in accounting. Anyway, I am a very social person, and I got very, very accustomed to being around so many people all the time. And then after my daughter was born and I decided to switch jobs for many different reasons. Anyway, I switched jobs and I started working at a little bookkeeping office with just 2 other women after my daughter was 3 months old. And that was a huge culture shock to me. It was very, very rough. And like going from talking to so many people and having friends and, you know, just interacting with so many people every day to like hardly talking to anyone at all it was huge for me. And so it took a long time for me to adjust to that. And I eventually became like very, very lonely. And that's very hard for someone like me to admit because I am so social. And, you know, I do have my really close friends that I know will always be there for me. But, you know, like when you're at work with people that you like, you know, a lot of people all day, every day, like you get to be social. But when you work at a small place that, you know, you only talk to 2 people a day, but I mean, you still have your friends and all, but like you had to make time, like both of you had to make time to be able to see each other, talk to each other, and, you know, whatever. And that becomes hard. Like, see, when, you know, you have so many people talking or, you know, at work that you work with and you see your friends on a daily basis, then yeah, you're fine. But like when you don't see your friends on a daily basis, it gets so hard, so tough, and it's a battle. And it got to the point where I was so lonely that I started like looking for friends on Facebook groups and stuff, like Christian women's groups and all kinds of stuff like that. So I joined some like Facebook women's Bible study groups and stuff like that to see if I could make some friends. And then I joined a book club of one of the Mama Bear ladies from Mama Bear Apologetics. I joined her book club because she had, I think it was in May, her first book was released. It's called Bridge Building Apologetics. Anyway, I went through that book club. Oh, it's so good. You guys should really check it out. Anyway, I went through that and I learned a lot about myself as well as other things about, building bridges between me and other people that don't have the same beliefs as me. But mostly, I learned a lot about myself. And there was a chapter one night that we were talking about friendship. That night, I just broke down, and I was crying so hard that I was wailing, where it was uncontrollable. I don't know if any of you have ever been through that or felt that, but more likely than not, you probably have. It was very enlightening and healing after I finally just let it all out to my husband, and he just helped me through it. And we read the Bible, we talked about it. And anyway, I'll get into that about what first. Before I go any farther, I want to say that probably a few months before all this happened, I had been feeling like God wanted me to do, there was something that God wanted me to do with my voice. There was something that I needed to say, but I didn't know what or how to do it. But I knew that God had something for me that he wanted me to do. And anyway, Adam has been a huge part of helping me figure out what it is that God is calling me to do. And one of those is the podcast. But anyway, that night that, I had my emotional breakdown, we were reading in 1 Peter chapter 5. Peter is talking to, I believe, exiled Christians. I'm just going to read part of chapter 5 to you. I'm going to start with verse 6. I'm reading from the ESV. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time he may exalt you, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. To him be the dominion forever and ever. Amen. Okay, so when we got to that verse 10, that is when I just melted. Because it made me realize that, yes, you're going to suffer. All of us Christians are going to suffer in this life. no matter what kind of suffering it is. But after you suffer, God, the one who called you to do whatever it is that you are doing, will restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. Like, he has got a plan for you. If you follow him, you obey him, he will do all of those things. Like, even if you're suffering, like, yes, God allows suffering in our lives. He allows us to go through all of that. But, like, he has a point to all of that. And in the end, you will understand why. And he will restore you. He will give you his strength, his confidence, his just restoring of your soul. He will give you that. He will confirm you. He will strengthen you and establish you. And so that was when I realized, hey, I really need to do this. I need to do this thing. I need to do whatever it is he's calling me to, which I, Wayne Hardy figured out partly that it was a podcast. And so after that, I started, I guess, kind of planning it in my head, like, what all can I do? What can I call it? All that. Anyway, so kind of a little bit of a change of scenery, whatever you want to call it. Before me and Adam even got married, we both knew that we wanted to homeschool our kids. Okay. And after the most recent, 4 or 5 years, it has definitely become more obvious that we really, really need to homeschool our kids because of everything that's going on in the world. And we want to give our kids a firm foundation. So we have been trying to figure out how I can homeschool the kids while staying home and not working full time, because I have always, worked full time. And so, but we've realized, that God is making a way for that to happen, at some point, hopefully soon. And basically the whole, our financial situation and everything, it has helped me form this biblical mama thing into a 3-part initiative where, okay, so the first is the podcast. Second is the designs. Okay. The third is the studies. So with the designs, what I'm going to be doing is, so that I will be able to stay home and homeschool to help with our income, I'm going to be doing personalized items like shirts, mugs, bookmarks, notebooks, all kinds of anything that you can personalize. Okay. Basically, I want to use this as a ministry to women, men, kids, whoever, so that I can hopefully make a difference in somebody's life, with, something that reminds them of God's love, or something that gives someone courage or whatever. And all while being able to stay home with my kids and homeschool them. And then the third part, I guess you'd call it a 3-part ministry, I guess let's call it that. Will be studies. I don't know. I think maybe I'll do it like a Facebook group or something. I haven't completely figured out what way to do studies yet. I don't know if I'll release studies or if we'll do like a live thing. I'm not sure. Let me know what y'all think about that. But I would like to dig in deeper, about the topics that I'm going to be releasing on the podcast. I would like to dig in deeper with you guys about that, and any other kind of topics that you guys might suggest. So for my first series, I would like to not title it, but the topic would be obedience. That is what I want to talk about. So not sure how many parts it will be, but as soon as I figure it out and draw up all my notes and everything on that, I will let you guys know, and I will also let you know when the next podcast will be released. I plan to do podcasts weekly, release them weekly or on a weekly basis. And so anyway, again, I am just following what God has told me to do. I'm obeying him, and we're seeing where he takes us with it. So I will update y'all on when the first podcast or the second podcast, the first part of the series, Obedience, will be released. I will let you guys know, and then be sure to subscribe on all socials so that you'll be notified when it is released. So if you have any questions, let me know. Message me. Just let me know. Once again, thank you for joining me today. Remember, you are deeply loved and cherished by God, and your faith journey is a beautiful testament to his grace. As you go through your week, may you walk in his wisdom and shine his light in all that you do. Don't forget to subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube so you can be notified about each release and all updates. Until next time, stay blessed and keep growing in his love.